वल्लभां गिरिवरदां। जय गोपी जन वल्लभां गिरिवरधां। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना, यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना, यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। हीरावन सारी जमुन, हीरावन सारी वन सारी। जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी, राधा माधव जय बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन भज जन रंजना, यशोदानंदन जन रंजना। यमुना तीरावन सारी, यमुना वन हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण, कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा माधव, राधा माधव राधे, जय राधा माधव, राधा माधव राधे। जय राधा गिरिधारी, राधा गिरिधारी राधे, जय राधा गिरिधारी, राधा गिरिधारी राधे। जय राधा गोविंद, राधा गोविंद राधे, जय राधा गोविंद, राधा गोविंद राधे। जय राधे जय राधे, जय राधे जय श्री राधे, जय राधे जय राधे, जय राधे जय श्री राधे। जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव। नित्य गौरा हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। नित्य गौरा हरि बोल, नित्य गौरा हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। नित्य गौरा हरि बोल। से राधा गिरधारी की, जैसे बलदेव से बलदेव के नाथ भगवान की, जैसे श्री गौर निताई की जय। वैष्णव वृंद की जय हो। नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, हो नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं, देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। ब्रुवन्तं स्वाकथा कृष्ण पुण्यसर्वनं कीर्तनं, हृदयन्तस्थो हयभद्राणि विधुनोति श्रुतसुताम् नस्य प्रयासु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Naranarayan, Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasa, the author of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleases desires for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and centered. By regular attendance in the classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the Piva devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead is praised. This praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam morning classes. We'll read from Prabhupada Amrita. Prabhu, can you share, please?
Prabhu, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
See now, Prabhupada smiled to become Prabhupada smiled. To become president of the company, he said, was temporary. All material life was temporary. He explained, on the basis of Bhagavad Gita, that the body was temporary and that the self was eternal. All the identities and positions people hankered after were based on the bodily conception of life and would one day be frustrated. The purpose of life, therefore, was not to become the temporary president of a temporary corporation within the temporary material world, but to realize the eternal soul's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and gain eternal life. Prabhupada spoke for almost half an hour while the men listened politely. At the next day's meeting, negotiations began. The conference room was different. The table is smaller and three of Dai Nippon international sales representatives sat opposite Prabhupada. Prabhupada presented his price, $35 per book. Oh, your divine grace, one of the salesmen explained. It is not possible for us to give this price. We will lose too heavily. We cannot afford it. They explained their position, quoting paper costs and other expenses. Prabhupada began to speak about his mission. ISKCON's book distribution, he said, was a charitable work for the benefit of all humanity. ISKCON distributed these books for whatever donations people were able to make, and he received no profit or royalties. It was spiritual education, the most valuable literature. In any case, Prabhupada said in closing, you deal with my secretary in this regard, and he sat back in his chair. The burden was on Tamal Krishna. Is that all, Prabhu? Okay.
Yes, please. Yes, Prabhu.
So let me share the Bhagavatam. Oh, we'll share, but I'm going. it doing? Okay, go to Hare Krishna, everyone, once again. Today's reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 10, Text 16, the discuss between Jad Bharat and Maharaj Rahujan. Taswam Niguracharya Sarasi Dvijanam Vibharsi Sutra Satamo Avadhuta Kasyasi Putrate Yaha Pikasmat Semayene Chadesi Note Sucha Taswam Niguracharya Dvijanam Vibharsi Sutram Katmo Avadhuta Kasyasi Putrate Yahapi tasmat Semaye Neshadasi not Sucha. Okay, somebody please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. I'm trying. Kastam nigurascharoshi dijanam vibhoshi sutram katamo bhaduta kashapi kutrasya ihapi kasma kshemaya naschidoshi not shukla. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Kastvam nigurascharoshi dvijanam vibhorshi sutram kato mavadhutaha kasyashi kutratya ihapi kasmat kshemaya naschedoshi nota shuklaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. I am also trying. Kastang nigurascharoshi dijanang vibhorshi sutrang kato mahabadhuta kasyashi kutrato ihapi kasmat semayonosche dashino to shuklaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, may I try please? Kastvam nigurastarasi dvijanam viparsi sutram katamo avadhutaha kashyasi kutratya yapi kashmat chemayanaschetasi nota shuklaha. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. I'll try. Kasmatvam nigudascharasi dvijanam vibarshi sutram katamo avudutaha kasyashi kutraya ihapi kasmat shemaya nasched asinota shuklaha. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Just to let you know, the Sanskrit one says Sucha, and in English is Shukla. So that's why I was reading Sucha. And the rest of translation is also says Shukla. Okay? The word for word translation. Kahatram, who are you? Nigura, very much covered. Charasi, you move within this world. Dvijanam, among the Brahmins for saintly persons. Viharsi, you also wear Sutram, the sacred thread belonging to the first class Brahmins. Katmahan, which Avadhuta, highly elevated person. Kasyasi, whose are you? Whose disciple or son are you? Putratyaha, from where? Yaha api, they are in this place. Tasmat, For what purpose? Kemaya, for the benefit, nah, of us, that if hati you are, na uta, or not, Shukla, the personality of the pure mode of goodness, Kapil Dev. Translation by His Holiness, by His Divine Grace, by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. King Rahugan said, O Brahman, you appear to be moving in this world very much covered and unknown to others. Who are you? Are you a learned Brahman and saintly person? I see that you are wearing a sacred thread. Are you one of those exalted, liberated saints such as Rasapryan and other highly advanced learned scholars? May I ask whose disciple you are? Where do you live? Why have you come to this place? Is your mission in coming here to do good for us? Please let me know. Who are you? Purpose? Maharaj Rahugan was very anxious to receive further enlightenment in Vedic knowledge because he could understand that Jadabharat belonged to a Brahmin family either by disciplic succession or by birth in a Brahmin dynasty. As stated in the Vedas, Tad Vijnan Artam Sadguru Yevabhi Gacchata. Rahugan was accepting Jad Bharat as a guru, but a guru must prove his position not only by wearing a sacred head, but by advancing knowledge in his spiritual life. It is also significant that Rahugan asked Jad Bharat which family he belonged to. There are two types of family, one according to dynasty and the other according to disciplic succession. One can be enlightened. The word Shukla refers to a person in the mode of goodness. If one wants to receive spiritual knowledge, he must approach a bona fide Brahman guru either in the disciplic succession or in the family of learned Brahman. Namah Vishnu Padang Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Loknath Swamini Ki Namne Namah Vishnu Padang Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Ki Namne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Jestarani Mukam Karoti Vachalum Pangum Langrajyam Yat Kripatam Ham Bande Guru Dinatarani Ahmadjanatimharandasya Jnananjana Salakya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvai Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sahapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sadhana Rugunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Saudutam Parijan Saita Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sadhana Lalita Sri Visakhan Vitam Cha He Krishna Tarna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Jaitam Surto Pangor Mama Manamate Rajate Mata Sarus Padam Bhoja Radha Madana Mohana Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Bhayasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayayocha Patitanam Pavan Bhayo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rame 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rame Rame Hare 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 Krishna everyone. Once again I would like to welcome you to our daily Bhagavatam classes. Today's text is text 16, chapter 10, 10 to 5, and the heading is the discussion between Jadu Bharat and Maharaj Rahuja. Text Taswam Niguda Arsi Divi Jana Vivarti Sutram Katmo Avadhita Kasyasi Kutra Te Yaha Pi Kasma Khemae Nache Dasi Nota Sukha. King Bharat and said, O Brahman, you appear to be moving in this world very much covered and unknown to others. Who are you? Are you a learned Brahman and saintly person? I see that you are wearing a sacred thread. Are you one of those exalted, liberated saints, such as Rasapryan and other highly advanced learned scholars? May I ask whose disciple you are? Where do you live? Why have you come to this place? Is your mission in coming here to do good for us? Please let me know who you are. Going back to recapping what's been happening, remember Jada Bharat in his past life was King Bharat, who was son of Rasaprayan, and he ruled the world in devotion and according to the dharma. Later on, he renounced his kingdom and went in the forest for meditation and liberation and do devotional service to get liberated. During that time, he rescued a fawn after his mother had died. And he became emotionally attached to the fawn, the baby deer, neglecting his sadhana or spiritual practice. At the time of his death, he was absorbed in the thought of the deer. So he took rebirth as a deer. In his second life as a deer, he was conscious of his past life. He retained his memory, which is called Jatismara. And he lived near the sages at Salagram, silently repenting what he had done in his past life. Salagram is a sacred village located on the banks of Gandaki River in Nepal, particularly in the Mustang district near the town of Muktinath. The region is known as for its natural deposits of Saligram, you recall. So going back to Jad Bharat, even in life as a deer, in the body of deer, he had the deep compassion. Most the lesson he learned that even in deep compassion, you must not override detachment. He missed out. He was compassionate at the same time he wasn't detached. So he was thinking of the deer at the time of death, and that was his mistake that he had to come back as a deer. Remember, final thoughts determine our future with Antakale Chama Samaran Muktawa Kalevaram. So Ya Prayati Samad Bhavam Yasina Atta Santa. And now in his when he was after the deer's life, he came back as a human being, born in a again good family. In a Brahman family, but he claimed that he sort of pretended that he was dull and dumb. He to avoid entanglement, that was his purpose. But he retained full realization and lived with spiritual gravity. Remember, this story goes on that Rahul Gandhi was going to, he was also heading towards solid ground. And on the way, one of his palki bearers got, could not carry on with the journey. So they were looking for somebody and they found Jad Bharat on the way. He looked very strong and healthy. So they picked him up to be one of the palki bearers. But he was, while working, he was very conscious of not harming any creatures on the ground, particularly ants. And he used to avoid to jump from one side to another and suddenly stop, will not, his actions caused unsteadiness of the palaki and was shaking, and the king inside the palaki was annoyed why it was shaking so much. So he testified the bearers, and they all said, no, it's not us, it's this new recruit who is causing all the problems. So the king justified him directly, but not directly, but to try to say that you, I can see that you are weak, and sort of sarcastically was justifying him. Jad Bharat, the reply was, it is emphasized in the slokas before, they emphasized that soul is untouched by physical conditions like strength, weakness, or suffering. Remember, Jad Bharat was talking about his bodily features. He looked healthy, and yet he wasn't carrying the parking properly. But so Jad Bharat reply was this: the soul, the Atma, is not touched by the bodily identity is an illusion. True self is eternal, unchanging, and beyond material designation. Remember, Jad Bharat was deliberately training dullness to avoid worldly entanglement and protect his spiritual focus. That was his idea in why he was avoiding, the reason why he was pretending to be a dull person. He didn't want to be involved in the material and avoid the past mistakes he had done in last two lives. So he was very cautious of it. He was overdoing things, sort of trying to protect himself. His caution after falling in his previous life, remember, as King Bharat, as in the form of Diya, he was vigilant. He didn't want to go through that again. Jad Bharat avoids non-devotees, even family members, knowing that association influences consciousness. So that was what Jad Bharat was. He was doing, pretending to be dull, so people will not associate with him, will leave him alone. Remember, Asatya Sangha Tyaga is the Vaishnava principle of rejecting materialistic company. So that's what was his practice. Despite being mocked, abused, and nearly sacrificed, he remained silent and composed. His tolerance reflects deep spiritual strength and surrender to divine protection. When King Rahugan insulted him, Jad Bharat responds with profound wisdom, dismantling the king's ego. That was what he was trying to do. He teaches that spiritual realization, not birth, power, or education, defines true greatness. His true greatness, remember, is spiritual enlightenment or spiritual realization, not our birth, or power, or education, or how we look like. His own journey from king to Diya to enlightened Brahman illustrates how attachment at death determines the next life. So, teaching for us that what can detachment cause us. So, this is the life history of Jad Bharat or King Bharat. Teaches us this, what happens when we are overly detached to things, material things of family members. Constant remembrance of the Lord is a safeguard against spiritual derailment. If you move out things, so remember, Jad Bharat's life is a living commentary on Bhagavad Gita, Gita's teachings, especially the call to transcend duality and fix the mind on the Supreme. Icha Dvaita Samoten Bandhan Mohan Bharata Sarva Bhuta Bhutani Sammohan Sarge Anti Parantapa Gita text 7, chapter 7, text 27. First icon of Bharat. All living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by duality arising from desire and hate. This verse explains how dualities like pleasure and pain, honor and dishonor, cloud our spiritual vision. Jad Bharat's detachment from worldly roles and his feigned ignorance were deliberate strategies to transcend these illusions. So he was purposely doing that. Srila Prabhupada's comment on this last sloka quoted he knows that deluded person dwells in dualities like woman and man, and that such illusion prevent understanding the Supreme Personality of God. Jad Bharat's life is a living rejection of these delusions. Jad Bharat's response to King Rahugan in last couple of 3 slokas, 13 to 15, my recall. He teaches that the soul is unaffected by bodily conditions and that stupidity or impurity are illusions born of material identification. This aligns with the Gita's emphasis on samsava, equanimity in all circumstances. The Gita teaches that liberation comes from seeing body beyond the body and mind. Jad Bharat embodies this by refusing to identify with his Brahman brain, his strength or intellect. He lives as a soul, not the body. What King Bharat, in his previous 2 lives back, what he could have done to avoid his derailment in the devotional service. detect with compassion. He should have been careful. He should have cared for the deer without emotional dependence or without emotionally attached to the deer. We need to be compassionate to every living entity, but without emotional attachment to it. Mind control, maintain Krishna consciousness, especially at death, which is we are reminded time and again at the time of death. Impurity, remember Krishna. But remember, this is not going to come out automatically. We need to practice that in our lifetime. Our gurus tell us to chant and remember Krishna all the time, because the time of death, we don't ever know what the condition gonna be. Unbroken sadhana of King Bharat. We got to learn the lesson. We are not trying to find fault in King Bharat, but what I'm trying to say here is that the lessons we got to learn from his lifestyle, teaching, that our sadhana should not break. We all got to continue hearing, chanting, and meditating. We need to evaluate impact of affection on spiritual progress and minimize worldly contact to prevent fall. So these are things. There's a lot more coming in the rest of the chapter. So I don't want to jump on others' work is coming forth. So that's all I need to can share with you people. Anybody else would like to contribute, please come forward. Lord, body. Anybody? Man.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for taking this verse. We've been discussing this episode of Rasaprayan Three Lives for many verses, many weeks. And yes, as you mentioned, the many lessons to be learned from his life. One of the things you mentioned is that we should not compromise our sadhana for some. We need to have mercy, but at the same time, the mercy should be towards oneself also. But here we can see Rasaprayan is a very advanced stage.
Indulgence, we need to avoid that. That doesn't mean that we don't be compassionate or not merciful. He's got his own place, and our sadhana got its own place. Otherwise, we'll meet the same destination as King Bharat. You are such an exalted king, and if he could fall off, the chances are there for us. Thank you, Prabhu. Anybody else? No one? Okay, then let's round it up. Shall we, number? I will number, Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Shall we round it off?
Yeah, we round it. There's no other comments. Okay, we'll do. Vancha
Kalpataru kripa sindhu bhayo pavane Vaishnava namo namo Ananta Koti ki jai. His Grace Rasaprayan Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande all glorious days and all devotees. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Hare Krishna.